What is up, YouTube? I'm Galdite74 here, bringing you guys week 11 of the PTL. This week we are taking on Will, coach of the Witney Miltanks. We are going into this game with a 6-4 record, while my opponent is going into this game with a 2-8 record. Now, I hope you all are staying healthy, washing your hands, and just practicing basic hygiene, because this is the second video ever since everything shut down due to the coronavirus that is going up on this channel. To recap what happened last week for you guys in the PTL, we did lose another game in this league, and we are on a current 3-game lose streak, which is kind of bad. And we also got our ass kicked last week, so hopefully we can just look forward to the future and try and win. It's starting to get to near the end of the season. We only have this game and next week's game, and then it's playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, we actually have not clinched a spot yet, despite being 6-4. If we win one game of our next two, we should make wild card depending on who wins. We should, but wild stuff could happen. And if we win both games, then we shouldn't make wild card. We just clinch a playoff spot in the GOAT Crusaders, like the way the team setup is. We could still clinch a wild card spot even with winning 2 games, but for the most part, we'll be set in stone if we just win one of these games, as I'm saying. But that is just a look at the playoffs in a nutshell. This is our second game in a row. We are going up against an Necrozma on the channel, which is very scary. My last 8 p.m. game, we went up against one. If you guys didn't see that, I highly recommend you go watch that. And preparing for Necrozma is very annoying. I think that mon is very good in draft. And our matchup in general is good and bad. It's good in some ways, bad in others, like the Necrozma. Let's talk about it a little bit more, and let's look at my opponent Will's team. Alright, so this week my opponent Will has a team consisting of Necrozma, Snorlax, Cabaraja, Cofagrigus, Whimsicott, Quagsire, Jolteon, Sawk, Turtonator, and Flareon. Now I expect my opponent to bring consist of Necrozma, Cabaraj, Cofagrigus, Whimsicott, Sawk, and Turtonator. Quagsire is the only other mon that I didn't list off that could come, but Jolteon and Flareon have really bad matchups, and Snorlax I am very heavily prepared for, so it's not that big of a threat for my team. Speaking of threats, let's look at them. The biggest threat on my opponent's side, easy, is a setup Turtonator. Shell Smash Turtonator runs through my team. I have very little answers to it. I have a few ways to stop it from setting up, but otherwise it is going to be a very big threat against my team. I don't know why I said very big threat, but anyways, Necrozma also is another big setup threat. The thing about not having a dark type on my team is that Necrozma could do anything. Necrozma could be a setup set with DD, setup with Calm Mind, Cosmic Power, just Specs or Scarf. Specs Photon Geyser is really scary against my team. I don't know what set Necrozma is going to bring, but Necrozma can definitely do a bunch of things, and I definitely have to be careful about that. Other threats on his team, he could bring Sawk as Scarfer just to clean up against my team if my Appleton's down. My Earthquake switching is kind of limited this week based on the team I had brought. Caparaj is kind of scary because it can break through my team while still being bulky just because Steel typing is so good naturally. So that's another threat. And then finally, Cofagrigus. While the thing isn't the biggest threat against my team, it's just kind of annoying to kill, and it's a big nuisance with Paint Split and like Will-O-Wisp and Hex and all that stuff. I have to be careful messing around with that thing. Again, it's not the biggest threat to my team, but I think it was worth mentioning. And then just everything else is kind of a threat, but I'm somewhat prepared for. Luckily for me, T-Spikes in offense is very good against my opponent. I have a pretty offensive team this week. I get up a layer of Toxic Spikes and just click buttons. As long as nothing sets up, I should be okay. I have a really good breaker in this game, so hopefully I can use that to my advantage. And that's basically the matchup in a nutshell. What I am bringing this week consists of Rhyperior, Cinderace, Glorian Weezing, Vanillux, Appleton, and Silvally Steel. Alright, so first up on the team this week is going to be Rhyperior. Rhyperior is holding the Choice Band, almost max speed with a Jolly Nature and max attack, moves being a Stealth Rock, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Roar. My opponent's Earthquake switching does not exist once T-Spikes are up. My game plan basically in this game is just to get T-Spikes up and then get Rhyperior in early game and click buttons until it dies basically, because once T-Spikes are up, again, nothing is going to take 2 hits from this Rhyperior. Even max HP, max defense, Cofagrigus, and Quagsire both get 2 code once the T-Spikes are up, which I thought was very useful. This can take hits from stuff like Jolteon and Flareon as well, hence why I said I don't think they have good matchups, and then Earthquake just nukes them. This stops Turtonator from setting up, which again, really big threat for my team. And then Caparaj and Snorlax don't like this thing either. And then also, unless it's Specs Necrozma, I can take any one hit from it as well, so getting Earthquake damage on that would be really nice. So Rhyperior has a lot of value to the team this week, and I also have Rocks on here if I decided that I might need them, because his removal is not that great, though Rocks aren't necessary for my game plan this week. But Rhyperior's job, just come in early and break the stuff, and that's kind of it. Next up is going to be Cinderace. Cinderace is max attack adamant with a lot of HP and the Charcoal with the moves Pyro Ball, Low Kick, U-Turn, and Taunt. Taunt is to stop the Turtonator from setting up. Cinderace is kind of meh in this match just because if Quagsire does decide to come, it's not doing much. It doesn't do much to Turtonator and Flareon as well. Again, I don't think Flareon has a good matchup, but still. Snorlax with Thick Fat can take Power Balls, though Low Kick doesn't really appreciate a Low Kick. But outside of that, Cinderace is pretty spammable in this game. I really see this thing just taunting and U-turning a lot as opposed to just clicking Powerball because, again, it's not that free in this game. I also plan on using this a little bit early, but it also could be good late game depending on what he brings this week to the team. And I have a lot of bulk, so I can take a lot of hits from different types of mons. It wasn't for a calc, it was just because I didn't need much speed. His speed tiers are a little bit lacking in the range from Whimsicott to Sawk, so that's why I decided to do this. Third up on the team is Galarian Weezing, another important member. We're actually bringing Spadef Weezing. I'm not usually used to bringing this set. With Neutralizing Gas, moves being Strange Steam, Clear Smog, Toxic Spikes, and Toxic. I had a lot of different moves in this fourth move slot, but I felt like Toxic would be nice just in case like Snorlax wanted to come in. I didn't want Snorlax coming in on my T-Spike and just having to Clear Smog them while they set up curses. I feel like it's a losing battle, so I could just Toxic and then Clear Smog. Clear Smog is also here to get rid of any Turtonator boosts. Again, another way to prevent it from setting up. I do expect it to be boots Turtonator, so Toxic Spikes are kind of useless in that sense. But again, I also have Toxic for that too, so I could always just click that button. Spadef is just really nice because I can switch into Whimsicott better. Stuff like the Turtonator, as I mentioned, and the Snorlax I can still deal with even without any defense investment. The same with Cofagrigus and all that. And I feel like it would be really nice to have on the team. And I also have Neutralizing Gas, so I didn't have to run Defog. And I can absorb Toxic Spikes from Cofagrigus because Sawk is the only really member of the team that I might need to Levitate for, and Sawk gets Mold Breaker. So I felt like it was kind of pointless there. So that is the Galarian Weezing. Our next member of the team is going to be back to the OG Scarf Vanillix, because I like offensive Vanillix. Modest Nature, almost max speed, moves being Blizzard, Frost Breath, Ice Shard, and Explosion. I really like this set for one reason. It's got Frost Breath, and if it is a Cosmic Power and a Charisma, what Frost Breath does, it always crits no matter what, so I'm always going to be faster than the Charisma, and it always does around like 40-ish% to 50% no matter how many boosts the Charisma has. So it's only there if it decides to start boosting up. Otherwise, I'm clicking Blizzard a lot. It does give Snorlax and Copperage a little bit of leeway to come in, which is a little bit scary, but again, I have ways to deal with Snorlax, and Copperage does not get good recovery, so I can at least chip it down with Hail and Blizzard, and I do have a switch into that thing, so it isn't the scariest. This also outspeeds Turtonator at +2, another important thing to make sure, even if that thing does get set up, I have a backup plan for it. You guys can tell I'm very scared about that thing. But that is going to be Vanillix. This could have been Espeon, but I feel like Vanillix was a little bit better. Fifth up is going to be Appleton. Appleton is max HP, a lot of defense with a little bit of EVs everywhere else. With the Rocky Helmet, moves being Apple Acid, Body Press, Dragon Pulse, and Recover. I really wanted Leech Seed on the set, but if my opponent decided to bring sub Copperage for whatever reason, that thing picks up like 4 kills, so I wanted Body Press to be able to make sure I can break the subs. Apple Acid is stupid good because it never lets Necrozma set up on the special side like Cosmic Powers or even Calm Minds. It won't be getting the Spadef boost. And Dragon Pulse was pretty nice. If I had to stay in on Turtonator, I am going to stay in and click Dragon Pulse to prevent it from setting up. So I might lose my Appleton a little bit earlier than I would like to. But otherwise, Appleton's typing is just actually really good in this battle for stuff like Quagsire, Jolteon, the Copperage, Flareon. It's really good in this battle. I felt like it would be worth bringing. And then finally we have Silvally Steel. Silvally Steel has a lot of speed and HP like it usually does. Moves being Parting Shot, Swords Dance, Multi-Attack, and Roar. This was another mon where I didn't know what the fourth move should be. I decided Roar to stop setup on the Necrozma and even the Turtonator to a less extent. And Swords Dance Multi-Attack is just really good to break through like stuff like the Necrozma, the Cofagrigus, Snorlax if I can. My opponent does not need to know that I can't really touch the Turtonator or the Copperage initially, but if they find that out, I can just Parting Shot out and switch into something else. And that is Silvally Steel. It's also to make sure Psychic Spam isn't too broken against my team. And that is going to be the team. I'm pretty excited to use this team this week. I hope the Rhyperior puts in a lot of work because it is banded. And again, biggest priority is to get Toxic Spikes up against my opponent. But that is going to wrap it up for the team builder. We're going to head over to Pokemon Showdown and we're going to watch the battle. Alright, we have arrived at Pokemon Showdown, and there is no Necrozma and no Copperage on my screen, which is absolutely nuts. I'm okay with that. There is a Jolteon on my screen, and Turtonator is still a big threat against my team. So I'm going to look out for that. In regards to the lead, I am going to lead off with Rhyperior, expecting Jolteon or Turtonator to lead, trying to Volt out or something like that. As Turtonator actually is the lead, which is fantastic for me. I can just fire off an Earthquake and do some damage to anything. They come out with Cofagrigus, and it does 46%, revealing that it's max HP, max defense, bold. At least I'm pretty sure, unless I got an absolute low roll. I'm going to go on the Weezing. I see this as an opportunity to get my T-Spikes up. I mentioned in the team builder that Toxic Spikes are very crucial to my game plan this game, so I'm going to try and get them up now. They set up Trick Room and then they get Pain Spit. They're getting a little bit of health back. I'm not too scared about that. That's completely fine with me. As I get my T-Spike up, and his only spinner is Turtonator, and forcing that thing to spin would be great. Now I'm going to fire off a Toxic, expecting them to stay in, as they do, and they click Power Swap. My opponent did tell me this was a misclick. I'm not exactly sure what Power Swap even does, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I'm all good with this. I get Toxic Poison on Cofagrigus. And now I'm going to go on the Savali Steel. I know my Weezing can 1v1 this Cofagrigus, especially because it has Knockoff as its only attacking move, which is fine with me, as my Savali can actually wall this thing. And I'd rather my Savali be lowered, because while Weezing can be Cofagrigus, I don't want my Cofagrigus getting pain splitting down my Weezing and having my Weezing a little bit low. I'd rather my Savali take that beating instead. So this is just the progress we're going to go through here. As I Swords Dance in front of this thing, they get a little bit more health back with Pain Split, but because of the toxic damage, it is starting to rack up a lot. I'm just going to click Multi-Attack, something's going to take the hit. As Cofagrigus is going to take it, and actually died to that. I'm shocked it died. And this is only big because Silvali's came to, this is the 9th game I think, and it's its first kill of the season, which is fantastic. And I stay in just to see if this thing is Scarf, which it is not Scarf. It is Sturdy, however, and I am going to lose my Silvally in the process here, as they're just going to click Close Combat. But Silvally finally putting in some actual work. It always puts in work each game, but it never gets like a kill or even something close to it. But this time it got essentially 2 kills. Weezing gets that kill because of the T-Spike, but Silvally put in a lot of work this game. I'm pretty happy with it. I go out the right period because if they bring out anything not named Quagsire, I get a kill, as they bring out Snorlax, which is Boots. So I do a lot of damage to it, and they just curse up. So I'm definitely claiming a kill here, as Snorlax is just going to be the one to die. Seeing that this thing's Boots, I'm not thinking that Turtonator is going to be Boots as well. It might, but you never know. Quagsire comes out. I'm not going to stay in on this thing. I'm just going to go on Appleton. It's a free switch every time, as they're just going to fire off an Earthquake, and it's not going to do anything, which is great. And now I can just fire off an attack of my own, and something else is going to have to take a T-Spike, or Quagsire is going to have to go down. Jolteon comes in and takes the Apple Acid. Not too well, considering it gets a Spidef drop, and I can just click Dragon Pulse the following turn, and they take the poison damage. They click Shadow Ball. It doesn't even do much. I don't think that's Specs. If that's Specs, it's kind of sad, but I don't think it is, as this Jolteon is just going to go down. It's a very offensive game. We're up to turn 15. It's 5-2. And this Turtonator is not Boots, so I'm just going to fire off a Dragon Pulse, as they just fire off a Flamethrower. I do a load of damage to this thing. I don't want this thing set up because, you know, setup Turtonator is still scary. It's a lot less scary with the poison. They're just going to drop a Draco and they're going to knock me out. At this point, the game's over because I can just bring out my Ice Cream Cone, as you're going to see here in a second. I will right now. And I can just click Blizzard a few times because Quagsire does not appreciate a Blizzard. Turtonator is going to take it and drop, and it's down to Quagsire. The whole world's shoulders are on Quagsire right now. The whole world is on Quagsire's shoulders. That's the term. I messed that up the first time, and I messed it up again. But it takes way too much from Blizzard, and I only take 40% from the liquidation. And it's going to be the last turn, and your Northside Noiverns are going to beat Will 4-0 in a very offensive game. So that's going to wrap it up. GG to my opponent. This is the second game in a row on the channel where we actually won a game. It's an absolute miracle. I don't have much to say about this game except it was a very fast-paced game. You saw the team builder was way longer than the actual battle, and I'm happy with the game plan, and it worked out in the end. I stuck to it, and it worked, and I was pretty happy about that. So GG to my opponent, Will. Thank you for the battle. We are going to move up to a 7-4 record with +2 differential. We actually had some good diff in that battle for once, and there are a bunch of 6-5 teams left in the regular season. It's going to be very hard for us not to make playoffs. If they all end up winning and we lose next week, then it is possible we miss out, but I highly doubt it. Like, it would be very hard for us to miss it. And if we do win next week, we actually just clinch a spot with the GOAT Crusaders, so we don't have to worry about all that wildcard nonsense, which I'm hoping we don't have to worry about that, because I don't have to want to play an extra game just to get into the playoffs. But that is just a playoff picture and the way it's looking right now. Next week we face off against Zach. He has a Galarian Darmanitan, which is absolutely busted. Otherwise, though, our team matchup is actually really good in that. I just have to be careful because it's a Galarian Darm. Like, come on. But that is going to be next week's video. Thank you guys for watching so much. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you like Pokemon Draft League content, consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to head out of here. Have a fantastic day, YouTube.